Google, Nokia, Wendy's, Motorola. 4 immensely successful companies, and they all have one thing in common. When they tried to enter the Japanese market, they fell flat on their face. To us, this highlights the importance of knowing what you're actually communicating. Body language, or kinesics, is a great part of communication, especially in collectivistic countries such as Japan. But frustratingly enough, the way you use it differs from country to country. In 4 scenarios, we're going to show you how the differences between the West and a country like Japan can cause some awkward situations, so that you can avoid the traps that tackled Google and Nokia. Meet Frank, a European exchange student in Japan. Yamato has invited him to a get-together. Yamato greets Frank with a slight bow, as is customary in Japan. Frank, however, doesn't know what this means. He is used to greeting with a handshake. Having only just met each other, Yamato and Frank already have a misunderstanding.
Greeting new people and hopefully future friends is one of the first things you will do when you arrive in Japan. Therefore, it is also one of the most important Japanese cultural costumes. By the way, this goes for other East Asian countries like Vietnam, China or India as well. So what went wrong here? In Japan, people greet each other with a bow and not a handshake. So when you're in Japan, keep it simple and just bow back. In that way, Japanese show their respect towards others. Imagine this had happened at a business meeting. That would certainly not bode well for future relations. Let's take a look at how this could have been avoided.
When Yamato opens the door, Frank greets him with a bow. Surprised at Frank's knowledge of etiquette, Yamato bows back. A cultural misunderstanding is avoided. After greeting, Yamato invites Frank into his house. Frank sees a pair of slippers, but doesn't think too much of it and ignores it. However, Yamato is stunned at this uncivil behavior.
Japanese homes are relatively small compared to Western homes. That is why they rarely have guests or even parties there. When you enter a Japanese house, you might notice a pair of slippers provided by the host right next to the entrance. Do not, in any case, ignore these. In Japan, customs require you to take off your shoes and replace them by the slippers. If you do not do this, you communicate rudeness and disrespect to your Japanese host. A separate set of slippers is provided for the bathroom as well as for the tatami room, a traditional Japanese room. So when you are lucky enough to be invited to a Japanese house, just be polite, take off your shoes, and mind your manners.
Yamato invites Frank into the house. Frank spots the guest slippers and knows what to do. He sits down on the chair offered to him by Yamato, takes off his shoes, and replaces them with the guest slippers. Here, we see Yamato and Frank have a conversation. Frank is trying to look Yamato in the eye when talking to him, but Yamato keeps looking away and never makes eye contact for longer than a few seconds. Frank is becoming insecure about himself now, and also frustrated. Why won't Yamato just look him in the eye? Is he even listening to what is being said? The more Frank tries to establish eye contact, the more Yamato avoids it.
to your eyes. In European countries, looking each other in the eyes when talking shows that you are interested in what is being said, that you have your attention with the conversation. It can be rude, insulting and even threatening to look someone in the eyes for too long in collectivistic countries such as Japan, so pay attention to your eyes.
Yamato and Frank are conversing at a friendly tone. Frank knows that Japanese people don't appreciate too much eye contact and experience it as threatening, so he's fine with talking to Yamato without insisting on eye contact. Yamato appreciates Frank's politeness and the conversation goes smoothly. The next day, Frank has a class with another European exchange student and 2 Japanese students. They are receiving the grades of the last test they made. Notice the difference in reaction between the European students and the Japanese students.
In Japan, letting control of yourself slip and showing emotions such as shame or extreme happiness leads to a loss of face in the eyes of others. Face stands for other face, or the way other people view you. In a densely populated country such as Japan, there was never a way for people to avoid each other. So the Japanese have taught themselves to remain in control of their emotions and not to show too much, in order to avoid conflict.
Frank and another European exchange student are in class with 2 other Japanese students. When they receive their grades, they keep their emotions to themselves and don't lose control, just like the Japanese students.
Please remember that we are generalizing throughout the whole movie, and of course not all Japanese people think or behave that way, especially not in bigger metropolitan areas, and younger Japanese people do behave somehow influenced by our Western culture as well. So do not take this movie too serious when you go to Japan actually. So if you would like to gather further information on how to non-verbally communicate in Japan and what is regarded as good and what is regarded as bad behavior in Japan, then you can see the description of this movie right underneath, and you will find a list of different links that show you how to non-verbally communicate in Japan. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.
Express yourself. Express yourself.